My video on Kanto Pokemon that could get Mega Evolutions in Pokemon Sun and Moon was a couple months ago, and I want to keep the series alive, but there's been some crazy things in the last couple months, mostly Alolan Pokemon being revealed, that these are alternate forms of existing Pokemon that could increase competitive viability, and at the time appear to be Kanto only. Well, that's going to make it harder to feel that there's a justification for introducing new Megas. Also, Z-moves have been really well elaborated. That Z-moves, I believe, were around at the time of that video, but now they look like this huge Mega Nuke, so you get one crazy move per game instead of one crazy Pokemon per game, and there's a lot of people right now that feel that Mega Evolution could just be removed from Pokemon entirely, let alone if we don't see any more new Megas. But I'm still hopeful, and I want to do a video about potential Johto Megas for Pokemon Sun and Moon, or maybe even the 8th generation, or whatever the future of Pokemon holds. I mean, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire introduced new Megas. Maybe we'll see the sequel to Sun and Moon introduce new Megas. I don't know. But also, for this list, and for the sake of just diversity and stuff, I'm not including the starter Pokemon. That's just too free right there. You know, Mega Meganium, Typhlosion for Alligator. Everyone wants these, and it would be pretty free if we got one of them, so let's go and skip over that. Also, same for the legendaries, you know, Primal Lugia or Ho-Oh, Mega Lugia, Ho-Oh. Again, really obvious ones, so let's go and give some other Pokemon from the Johto region a chance, and start off this list with number 10, Mega Blissey. You thought I was joking with the thumbnail, right? Well, here's the thing. While Chansey and Blissey are absolutely insane Pokemon to deal with in the competitive scene, there's just something wrong about Eviolite Chansey now being the new Blissey. That there's almost no reason to run Blissey because Chansey gains so many stats off that Eviolite. By giving Blissey a Mega Evolution, it's going to make the evolution of Chansey actually more viable, and there are some cool things that we can end up doing with it. Now, I was thinking we go Magic Guard. The reason why is that we're giving up leftovers. Remember, the Mega Stone is an item. It's going to be your held item. So we have to give up leftovers, which is an insane amount of healing, and we'll gain a moderate amount of stats. So, since we can't gain hit points, it'll be like we're getting Eviolite stats off of our Mega Stone, and then maybe just a little bit of an added ability like Magic Guard, maybe some offensive stats, a little bit of extra things. That way it'll put Blissey back on top of usage in comparison to Chansey. Also, remember, you only get one Mega Evolution per battle, so it means that Megas can be overtuned. I feel with the likes of Mega Kangaskhan, Mega Salamence, Mega Sableye, and all these other incredibly powerful Megas that everyone else is using, it needs to be way overpowered, or else people are going to use Kangaskhan, Sableye, or Salamence instead of one of these new Mega Pokemon. So I think Blissey could be a really good option, and another really crazy meta-breaking option could be Mega Smeargle. So at number 9, I have Mega Smeargle, mostly because it would be really cool to see Smeargle like take it to the next level, and also because it could just change the gameplay around this Pokemon of almost infinite potential. Now, with Mega Smeargle, we will get rid of the Focus Sash, so it won't be as crazy as people might think, but then again, Smeargle already does so much work in doubles with Dark Void, and even some crazy combos and singles and stuff, that risking giving it any kind of stats could be a scary thing. But then we look at Smeargle's base stats. They're really bad. If you Mega Evolve Smeargle, it only goes to a 350 base stat total, so Mega Smeargle would have to do something nuts, like gain plus 50 in all of its stats. And while that sounds terrifying, again, Mega Pokemon, so it's not going to be Mega Smeargle next to a Mega Kangaskhan doing insane amounts of work or something. It would just be that now Smeargle becomes a Pokemon that could stand on its own, potentially be used in singles, or also just have a little more surprise factor in doubles when you see Smeargle Mega instead of like a Kangaskhan or a Salamence or any kind of Pokemon that would be next to it instead. So it could be like a Mad Nuke, and I was even thinking maybe it gets the Protean ability. So the Protean ability will help just give it that offensive push it needs, and then you can go like Protean, all kinds of crazy high base power moves, have that work with your speed, but at the same time, you're still not even going to be able to take too much of a hit as well because of the low base hit points. I'm just thinking that maybe there could be a way of helping out the Smeargle, and I think that that's about as game-breaking as I want to take this list. For number 8 on the list, I was thinking about Mega Xatu. Xatu feels like a very fitting Mega Pokemon. Its base stats are relatively low, but still balanced at the same time, thus giving us a good opportunity, boosted special attack, boosted speed, maybe a little bit of defense, special defense, and then throw like 10 points into attack just so it doesn't become way too insane, and then Xatu could be reasonably balanced. Also, Xatu, it checks all of the boxes for a Pokemon that could use a super crazy design overhaul and then look absolutely fantastic. So I'm expecting one of that. We could get a fabulous Pokemon with good stats. I'm thinking for the ability, give it Serene Grace, because that gives us so much Magic Bounce potential. Xatu has the Magic Bounce ability, which is one of the best abilities in the game, so it means you can switch it in on status, convert that Mega Evolution, and I like the idea behind Serene Grace, because it means that your Psychic has a good chance of just chipping down the opponent on the special defense, or you can go for Air Slash and then be like a pseudo Togekiss. 60% chance to flinch, but also not really too overpowered. Remember, you have the Mega Stone, so you're not going to have Life Orb, you're not going to have Choice Specs, you're not going to be doing an insane amount of damage off of the Air Slash, but there might be some combos, Air Slash into Psychic, maybe get the special defense drop into Air Slash. Also, you get Calm Mind and Roost, so Roost, Calm Mind, Psychic, Air Slash on a Mega Xatu. The Pokemon would be really fun to use, and I think it would just fit a really strong Mega aesthetic. Okay, for number 7 on the list, we have Quagsire. So here's how I feel about Quagsire. Everything stays the same. I want it to be Water Ground. I want it to have that Unaware ability. It's mostly just going to be some kind of design update and extra base stats, because Quagsire right now can be an absolute monster with that Unaware ability, but if it Megas, it could be even crazier, which kind of brings the new idea of this list. So with the Alolan Pokemon already being out there could be a chance that maybe there's Alolan Johto Pokemon, Alolan Pokemon for future generations. We don't know at this time. Could be disproven like even tomorrow off of news or something, who knows. But also, it's a substitute for regular evolution as well. With Alolan forms, it seems like new Megas are off the table, new evolutions are off the table, but still something fun to talk about. And Quagsire, Mega, Alolan, new evolution, as long as it keeps Unaware, Water Ground, and just gets better stats, it'd be a very interesting Pokemon to see, and maybe even be one of the best after it gets a little bit of a buff. Next up for the list, we have Delibird. So in my Alolan Pokemon video, so I've already done a video on top 10 Pokemon that need Alolan forms, I talked about Delibird, and it just kind of goes back. Alright, Alolan, Mega, give it something. I want to see Delibird get some form of viability, maybe a big old type change like some Pokemon I've seen through Mega Evolution, or just buff its stats, give it a massive sack. Just fill that massive sack with stats, and then Delibird might be useful. It has some cool things, like it's carrying the Destiny Bond, it has priority in the Ice Shard. I don't know about what ability we could use, because Hustle's a kind of risky ability, but other than that, I don't think it would get something off of a sheer force. It feels like with Mega Evolution, like, slap on the Tough Claws, slap on the sheer force, hopefully that'll make up for the lack of damage, and then we're just giving the Pokemon-based stats. Like, it's effectively a free Life Orb on top of buffing the Pokemon all around. Either way, Delibird could use some love in some manner, and I would like to see it get a Mega Evolution or something in Pokemon Sun and Moon. Alright, for number 5 on the list, we have Mega Miltank. Guys, we already know how terrifying Whitney's Miltank can be, but I feel that that doesn't translate into the competitive scene, and we need Miltank to take it to the next level. I was already thinking, alright, we'd get Mega Miltank going on, and then we just give it like a ball ability. Effectively, with this ball ability, we get rollout doing double damage initially, and then it just kind of stacks from there. I think it'd work. That means you have to, you have to shut down the Miltank immediately before it starts going into some crazy rollout snowballing shenanigans. And also, it means that you can still be walled out really effectively by like Steel-type Pokemon or something. So it'll make Mega Miltank effectively be Whitney's Miltank on steroids. And again, it has to be a super crazy Pokemon if it wants any viability. But I think that would be a really fun thing to have in the game. Also something that people would have to pay attention to almost all the time. Alright, and number 4 on this list is going to be Mega Noctowl. So I feel that with Mega Pidgeot getting a Mega Evolution, Noctowl needs some love. That's an awesome owl Pokemon that could really take a really cool concept on. So Pokemon could get an evolution or a Mega Evolution. Either way, I feel it could get like a Honchkrow treatment. Just get a nice, bigger, bulkier design, look like a real baller Pokemon, and then just kind of have those things happen with it. Now, I'm a big fan of Noctowl, mostly because it was the only owl Pokemon we've had, And Ash's Noctowl in the anime was really fun to watch as a kid, so I would like to see it usable in some way. Noctowl right now is very difficult to use. I think I've seen it once for Fan Fridays, and then it did okay. It actually has some unique moveset combinations, which makes it really neat, but at the same time, not really too much could happen with it in its current state. So Evolution, Mega, do something with Noctowl. I'm not a fan of Rowlet, so Noctowl is the Owl hype for me. Number 3 on this list is Sudowoodo. So Mega Sudowoodo, again, a Pokemon discussed in my Alolan Pokemon video, makes Sudowoodo a tree, gives Sudowoodo some kind of update. I mean, there's already kind of like crazy forms of Sudowoodo floating around and stuff. Now, the real tragedy here is that there's not a lot of good concept art for Mega Sudowoodo or Sudowoodo Evolution or something like that. So if Game Freak could go and make an awesome Sudowoodo design and give it just the right treatment for competitive viability, that'd be okay. Also, I think that sometimes a Pokemon could just get a Mega Evolution for the sake of it getting some love from Game Freak. I think that was a big part of the Alolan Pokemon, but when it comes to Megas, you know, there's some Megas that very, very few people use, but it's still like the favorite, you know, Mega Houndoom. A lot of people have Houndoom as their favorite Pokemon, so Mega Houndoom is just an amazing thing. Anyone that's a fan of Sudowoodo is going to love the Mega Evolution, even if it isn't necessarily super competitively viable. Also, guys, check out the top right over there. Let's just call that the honorable mentions and get on to number 2 on this list. I was thinking Mega Sunflora. So, whenever we talk about Johto evolutions or Johto Mega evolutions, we need a Mega Sunflora. And I was thinking that even though Sunflora's base stats are really low, they're not impossibly low. They can still be saved in some kind of way. So I was thinking we just give it the Mega Beedrill treatment, you know, just dump like 80 points into speed, cut some points off the attack, put the rest in the special attack, and then just let it go on its way. Now, the thing about a Mega Sunflora concept is a lot of it is grass fire, so just give it the contrary ability. You know, that way Leaf Storm, Overheat, we can get a snowball going off of it, but the Pokemon's going to be absolutely made of glass. Like, we can cut out some defenses, just make sure maybe the Pokemon hits hard enough to where it could maybe finish off Pokemon, then start a snowball. I understand this might be one of the most ridiculous things you've ever heard, but guys, weren't you paying attention to this list earlier? I put Mega Blissey and Mega Smeargle on here. I just want to watch the world burn. And now, for the number 1 Mega Evolution in the Johto region, anyone that has ever heard my name on YouTube is probably going to know that it's Dunsparce. I'm just going to let a previous video about how Dunsparce needs an evolution, a Mega, something, some kind of love, speak for me for the first bit of this. Now, I'm like the number 1 Dunsparce fan in A. I've been wanting this Pokemon to get an evolution for a very long time, pretty much since like 4th generation when I saw all those other Pokemon from previous generations get evolutions. It's like, why not Dunsparce? I mean, you'll give Lickitung an evolution, you'll give Gligar an evolution, why not Dunsparce? And I've always been specifically thinking like Dragon typing, you know, there would be nothing more fitting than Dunsparce, a Pokemon that's looked down on, that people don't even care about at all, to get this metamorphosis into the strongest typing in the game, and then become a Dragon typing. So yeah, Mega Dunsparce, just keep it the way it is. Keep it the Serene Grace, buff all of its stats in some kind of way, except for like special attack, you know, it just needs to be bulky enough to get a Thunder Wave off, have a good enough attack to where after 1 or 2 coils you're doing a reasonable amount of damage, and I think that would be absolutely fair for Dunsparce, you know, give it like this insane metamorphosis of a beast Pokemon, make it like a normal Dragon type, take it to the next level in every way, and that'd be absolutely fine by me. So those are the top 10 Johto Pokemon I feel should get Mega Evolutions in Pokemon Sun and Moon. Now, I think one little bit of discussion point here at the end is that when it comes to Alolan Pokemon, I think the reason they were introduced was to actually make it to where you don't need to Mega Evolve everything. That, hey, we don't see Marowak, we don't see Sandslash. If we actually change these Pokemon up a bit, maybe they'll be viable without forcing you to use your 1 Mega on something like a Pidgeot or Beedrill. No, Mega Beedrill's all cool and it can work, but it's not as reliable as most of the Megas that we have out there already. So the option is to give up this Pokemon instead of actually using it in battle. So Alolan Pokemon might do the same. Again, at this time, we don't know about Johto Alolan Pokemon. I think it's not as bad with Hoenn in future generations, just that the first 2 generations of Pokemon were early on in Pokemon's life cycle, so they weren't really competitive. They weren't supposed to be like these insane things, and then as power creep happened over the years, you know, we need these updates. But I feel Johto shouldn't be left behind. That Kanto Johto, Alolan Pokemon, that works. Maybe just giving some Johto and Hoenn Pokemon a little extra Mega Evolution love, that could be cool as well. And I think that's all that there is to say. So if you guys enjoyed the video, hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.